A prominent doctor cannot be reached after he fails to show up for an important meeting. Several colleagues head out to his Santa Barbara home to check in on him. And what they find sends shockwaves throughout the community as the hunt for a vicious triple murderer gets underway. My name is M. William Phelps. I'm an investigative journalist and the New York Times best-selling author of dozens of true crime books. I've dedicated the past 25 years of my life to helping families of the missing and murdered. Join me next. We're crossing the line. We talk a lot about this situation on Crossing the Line. You are supposed to be somewhere. You don't show up, and several people, or maybe just one intuitive person in your life begins to get this strange feeling that you haven't gotten a flat tire somewhere on the I-5 or lost your phone, but something more sinister is going on. It's a warm March morning in California when a well-known and prominent doctor, Henry Hahn, fails to show up for a business meeting in downtown Los Angeles and is not answering his cell phone. This is very much unlike Dr. Hahn. So, two colleagues decide to drive out to his Santa Barbara, California home. This is not just down the block. Santa Barbara is about 90 minutes northwest of LA, along the coastline, about 100 miles away from that meeting. 57-year-old Dr. Henry Hahn, his 29-year-old wife, Jenny Yu, and 5-year-old daughter, Emily, live on Green Hill Way, which is a cul-de-sac. They live in this immense, spacious home, situated at the very end of the road. This is a lavish residence on the grounds of what is a 7-acre avocado ranch. It's a Mediterranean-style home with vast gardens, a well-kept landscape, and full of exotic and expensive plants all over the property. And plants, I'll say here, are an important part of the doctor's life and work. The Hahn's home is also secluded. If you are standing on the road at the top of the long, snaky driveway, you cannot even see the house from the road, so it's private, exemplifies wealth, and if you do not know where the doctor lives, it's highly unlikely you would stumble upon the home driving around. Dr. Henry Hahn is viewed by the community and his large base of over 200 patients as a herbal doctor. That might sound a bit woo-woo or new age, but Hahn's patients see him as a life-saving gift from pain and ailments most general practitioner physicians cannot hold a candle to. One report notes that Hahn has treated upwards of over 13,000 people throughout his career, with issues running from hepatitis to cancer and everything in between, mostly using just herbal remedies and diet. The guy is respected. Dr. Hahn has been a staple in the Santa Barbara community he lives in since the 1980s and fashions himself someone who is there to serve the community at large, plain and simple. I want to point something out. Henry Hahn is not a witch doctor or someone looking to sell patients exclusive herbs at a high cost. He blends Western and Eastern medicine. He grew up in Beijing, China, where both of his parents were respected doctors themselves. In fact, his grandparents were also in medicine. So, helping people and, more importantly, wanting to see people pain-free has been in the Hahn bloodline for generations. To reiterate, he's not some quack you see on infomercials. Do we even have infomercials anymore, actually? Let's say He's not some quack you see on the internet, pimping some cure-all supplement that is nothing but non-essential filler ingredients. The guy had thousands of satisfied and healed patients willing to give positive testimonials. The guy knows what he is doing. On that March 23rd, 2016 morning, heading now into early afternoon, after Dr. Hahn fails to show up for what is an important business meeting, his partners, who are also scheduled to be at the same meeting, drive up the coast to Santa Barbara to check in on him and his family and see what in the heck is going on. When they arrive, they first spot Henry Hahn and his wife's vehicles parked inside the garage, meaning he hadn't gone anywhere. Then they see that the front door into Henry's home is wide open, which is very odd. Something is off. Henry Hahn would never leave his front door open. He would never not answer his phone and miss a meeting. The guy is punctual and disciplined and on time to a fault. Instead of going into the house and having a look around themselves, his colleagues make the choice to call police and have them conduct a welfare check. The Hahn family were, friends later said, living their best life. Henry and Jenny loved each other deeply, and after they had Emily, they saw their lives, in total, as a gift. Jenny was, said one friend, Henry's right hand, always there by his side, helping him do whatever needed to be done. They worked together and lived together and seemed to be enjoying every minute of it. Not a lot of couples who could do that and say that. As police arrive, it's just 3 days before the Hahn family is set to celebrate Emily's 6th birthday. It's all they've been talking about lately. Nothing about this scene feels right. There is this eerie, dark cloud hovering over it all. You do this work long enough and you just know when you come upon a scene and things are not going to turn out the way in which everybody hopes. It's almost like they're right in the air. You can feel it. You can sense it. As they begin to go through the house, they do not find Henry, Emily, or Jenny anywhere. What they do find is their bedrooms stripped of all the bedding, as if someone decided hastily to do the laundry. Working their way around the house, they smell this strong, unmistakable odor of bleach. Powerful and potent and toxic. There are also bleach stains on the carpet in some areas of the house. None of this is comforting. Then, as they step into the garage and slowly begin searching around, it is there that they find the bodies of the entire Hahn family, wrapped up in plastic. Who does this? Kills an entire family, including a 6-year-old, then wraps their bodies in plastic and places them inside the garage. If the killer's plan was to cover up the murders, why leave them in the garage to be found? Detectives first on scene are baffled by this detail. Just before midnight, a search warrant comes in so they can get inside the house and do a complete, thorough forensic and trace evidence examination to hopefully begin to piece together what happened and, better yet, who might be responsible. I can tell you it's pretty damn hard, if not impossible, to kill 3 people inside a house, wrap their bodies up in plastic, and not leave behind a clue or strand of hair or your DNA. Especially when it's clear you cannot kill all 3 of them at the same time unless there are multiple killers. So there is going to be some sort of a struggle involved, or people running, with the perpetrator chasing them. As investigators dig in deeper, what they notice immediately is that it's likely the Hahn family was murdered while they were asleep the previous night, or at least getting ready for bed. So, They were ambushed, in other words. Had someone broken in? There are no signs of forced entry. Continuing with the search of the home, inside the laundry room, investigators discover bedding from the 2 bedrooms where the victims were found, with some of it still inside the washing machine. The washing machine had actually tripped the balance alarm, meaning that whoever loaded it had put too much inside, and so the load went partially undone. They open that washer and look inside. They find several bloody sheets. Looking further, they find pillows saturated with blood. When they take the items out of the washer and begin to bag them, bullet fragments and a spent round from a .22 caliber weapon fall on the floor. All of this kind of confirms that the Hahns were murdered as they slept or were in bed. Then they uncover 3 spent shell casings from a .22 caliber weapon inside the plastic wrapping of Jenny's body, and several more rounds upstairs inside one of the bedrooms. So now they have projectiles and casings, which could become a major piece of evidence tracking down their killer. It also proves the killer was not that damn smart to leave behind so much evidence that could connect him back to this scene. Motive, of course, is the main means to finding out who did this. Motive is incredibly important in this respect when investigators begin to try to figure out who is behind this type of triple homicide. You have to begin asking yourself why someone killed this family, especially after realizing this was not some home invasion gone horribly wrong. It feels as though the Hahns were targeted for some reason. Working from that angle, you'd be remiss if you didn't jump right into Dr. Hahn's work. He made a lot of money and knew a lot of people. Had the guy made any enemies? You murder a doctor, his wife, and his 6-year-old child, it seems to me that there is some obvious rage there, or the killer is definitely someone Dr. Hahn knows. It's clear from the evidence that the killer was let into this house. One investigator upstairs searching inside the Hahn's bedroom soon discovers something next to the bed on the floor. It's a paper bag. Inside the bag is a document. Which seems kind of odd, right? A document inside a bag on the floor of the bedroom. The Hahns kept a neat house. This bag is entirely out of place. The document, just 4 pages long, looks to be some sort of crudely drawn-up business contract. It was signed by Dr. Hahn on the day he was murdered, and also another man, whose name investigators now have. That feels like a good cliffhanger. Let's take our first break and come back with more Crossing the Line with M. William Phelps. In searching through the crime scene, what investigators discover is horrifying. Dr. Hahn was murdered point blank while sleeping in his bed. Across the hallway, inside Emily's room, it is obvious that Jenny was reading 6-year-old Emily a book to try and get her to sleep when the 2 of them were shot to death. You see that as an investigator, it is something you will never, ever forget. It will never leave you. The community where the Hahns live is devastated by such an immense loss. Dr. Hahn had helped so many people, had developed so many relationships with families and cancer survivors and people suffering from stomach ailments and thyroid diseases and a host of other ailments that can make life unbearable. Here was this man who cared so deeply for people at the center of it all, helping everyone by using alternative medicine, and it was working. How does a community replace a man like this? It's impossible. The question investigators had to focus on as the community mourned, however, was if Dr. Hahn's work had gotten him and his family killed. Not that it was his fault in any way. I want to be clear. But had someone he'd met along the way of doing business saw an opportunity of some sort and decided to take it. In recent months leading up to the murders, Dr. Hahn began to embrace CBD oils and even the hemp plant as possibly becoming a large part of his practice. Remember, this is 2016, so CBD and weed as medicine is just kind of filtering into the mainstream. It's just taking off. People are buying the oil, and the oil is beginning to show up in beverages and other items we ingest. It's becoming an industry. Dr. Hahn was interested in all of it and also began treating patients with inflammation and chronic pain using CBD. He saw huge potential in CBD. And if I could just digress a moment here and say, I realize I do not utter the H sound when I say huge. But there it is. That is the way I say the word. Saying huge feels hypocritical and not the least bit genuine to me. So I just wanted to put that out there. People razz me about it. Razz all you want. I don't give a shit. Anyway, this name the police have from that contract found inside Dr. Hahn's bedroom on the floor in that bag is a dude called Pierre Hopsch. I don't like him already. Pierre Hopsch is 25 years old. He had been helping Dr. Hahn understand CBD and develop it more as a treatment for certain illnesses, allegedly. Pierre had worked in labs, allegedly, Dr. Hahn believed, which experimented with CBD and its uses for illness. When he met Pierre, Dr. Hahn took a liking to the younger guy. They kind of hit it off and began discussing all the benefits of CBD and how they might be able to take its use to a higher level and go into business together. Pierre has this boyish face, thin and balding eyebrows, shortly cropped, military-like black hair, noticeable pudgy cheeks, and comes across as someone who seems like he knows what he's talking about. Pierre talked about his experiments in the lab and how he was working night and day on the development of CBD as a groundbreaking treatment for various severe illnesses, essentially speaking Dr. Hahn's medical language. So you can see why Dr. Hahn was so interested in Pierre. Hahn met Pierre through another business partner who was focused more on the skincare side of the industry. As that partner got to know Pierre, he saw him more as a know-it-all kind of BSer. There was something about Pierre that struck the guy as disingenuous. We've all been there, right? You meet someone, start to get to know them, and you think, this person is full of shit. They are definitely hiding something. Fake on every level. But Dr. Hahn trusted Pierre and was able to look the other way when it came to Pierre's more crass and maybe even problematic demeanor. Others said that Pierre had this calm nature about him. They had never seen the guy angry, nor violent in any way. He just came across as this young kid, maybe talking a bigger game than he could ever become involved in or ultimately deliver. Still, Dr. Hahn saw something in Pierre and wanted to be in business with him. And so they signed this contract, a deal to begin developing CBD as a treatment. Investigators, however, look at this contract and find that it is not a standard business deal by any means. It looks to be something drawn up on a napkin, so to speak. So they immediately put out a bolo. Be on the lookout for Pierre so they can, at the least, get him into the station and ask him for an alibi and learn more about the Hahn's last hours. After all, the contract was signed by both Dr. Hahn and Pierre on the day the Hahn family was murdered. I bet they also want Pierre's DNA, of course. Behind the facade of Pierre, the CBD expert, was a disturbing reality. For one, he had no idea what he was talking about regarding science and lab testing. He was also using what one person noted to be toxic chemicals in the CBD trials he was allegedly working on. Being partners with Dr. Hahn, Pierre had access to some of his accounts. And that is where investigators begin to find out that Pierre was actually cooking the books and embezzling funds which were supposed to be used for the business. One specific charge really pissed Dr. Hahn off. It was for an escort service. Pierre had charged going to an escort service and paying sex workers as a business expense. That expense was the last in a series of sketchy expenses and business practices Pierre was involved in within the partnership. And Dr. Hahn, once he found out, had seen enough. He'd looked the other way far too many times, but not anymore. The partnership, in Henry Hahn's eyes, was done. So now, as investigators begin to discover all of this, there is that elusive motive question answering itself. Revenge. Money. The oldest motives in history. They get word that Pierre has been spotted driving a red Lexus and was at a gas station near Oceanside, California, in Bonsall, which is south of Los Angeles, a very long way from the Hahn residence. So they surround the gas station, and several armed officers move in on Pierre as he is preparing to pump gas. Pierre gives himself up without any issue. As they are searching him, they find that Pierre has a loaded 9mm handgun on him. Once investigators hear this, they have to ask themselves, isn't that the make of a weapon on the property list that the Hahn family had? A weapon that is missing from their home? The answer is, of course, yes, it is. Pierre is in possession of a gun from Dr. Hahn's house, tying him directly back to the murder scene. Final break here. Come back and wrap up this tragic, sad case. You know, I say this all the time, and maybe more so over the past month or two, but murderers are very stupid. It baffles my mind in a way just how damn stupid some of them are at times. How do people today, or even a dozen years ago when this crime took place, not freaking realize that they are being filmed everywhere they go? That's a fair question. But let's take it one step further. How is it that anyone today does not understand that if they go into a Walmart, Target, Walgreens, whatever the chain outlet is, like a Home Depot, for example, every step you take within those corporate stores is being captured on video and saved to a hard drive? Good for those solving murders that these people are so damn ignorant and foolish. In this case, Pierre is captured inside a Home Depot buying rolls of plastic. You freaking idiot. The same exact type, which they later match up with a SKU number used to wrap the bodies in. And also duct tape. Again, matching the tape used to wrap the bodies. There he is, with a shopping cart, trolling down the aisle amid the batteries and pipe fittings and rolls of paper towels, heading toward the cash register. I guess Pierre thought that since he was purchasing the items at a Home Depot so far away from the scene, that no one would ever find out. You idiot. There are SKU numbers on items. You can match directly back to the store. It sounds like I'm angry that he did this, but I'm not. I'm happy. Turns out Pierre lives with his father, another loser, in a rented room in Oceanside, California, close to 200 miles south of the crime scene. Oceanside investigators had been watching the residence where Pierre lives with his father before they had taken Pierre into custody. When they saw the dad leave the house, they followed him. Again, surveillance cameras pick up the action. This time in a Walmart parking lot. What's great about this video is that the dad pulls up to another vehicle, and these are the only two vehicles in the parking lot. Inside the other car is Pierre, who gets out, meets his dad at the back of his car. The dad hands Pierre, the son, 2 large duffel bags, which he places inside his trunk, and then the 2 vehicles take off in opposite directions. Nothing sketchy going on there, fellas. Leaving that Walmart parking lot, Pierre then stopped for gas, which was when officers moved in on him. As they speak with Pierre, he tells them that over the past few days, he has been targeted by no fewer than 5 people who had shot at him. So they ask him why. And trust me, he actually says these next words. Because of a scientific marvel I invented. So the guy claims to have invented one of the biggest scientific breakthroughs in ages, but is caught on camera at the Home Depot buying plastic and duct tape. Is that what we are to believe? Investigators humor the guy and ask him about the invention. Not kidding you. He says this, a very, very, very advanced energy source, a quantum kind of energy, and at least 15 people connected to this project are now dead. That's what Pierre tells them. All right, Pierre. He goes on to say that Dr. Hahn had purchased one of the devices, and the plastic and duct tape were purchased as part of him setting up the device at the Hahn's house. Sure. It is likely the people after him over the energy source that likely murdered the doctor and his family. That's what Pierre tells these investigators. He adds this, I invented a technology that changes the world, and oil companies and people don't want this technology out there. Sounds like Pierre's been scrolling around the internet a little bit. They then find a former friend of Pierre's who tells them that Pierre had called him on the day of the murders and told him this. I need your help. Just so you know, I am a monster. I killed Dr. Hahn, his wife, and child, and I need your help. So Pierre admits to the murders to his friend. Can't make this shit up, I tell you. If I tried to, I couldn't. His motive? Pierre had planned to rob Dr. Hahn, essentially siphoning the money from all his accounts, upwards of up to $20 million. Greed. Those duffel bags his father, the rocket scientist, had brought him in the Walmart parking lot had passports and clothes and that 9mm Pierre had taken from the Hahn home. But also, they find Dr. Hahn's credit cards, his Social Security card, a shell casing matching the ones at the crime scene, Hahn's phone, his tablet, and all of this stuff is wrapped in aluminum foil. Looking even further, there it is, the .22 caliber weapon used to kill the family. Emily, the child, had been shot 8 times. Pierre put 8 rounds into that poor child. Pierre is later convicted of triple murder, which could have gotten him the death penalty in California, though a death sentence in California is actually a life sentence these days. In April 2022, he was sentenced to 3 life terms without the possibility of parole. He managed to get the death penalty off the table by waiving his right to a jury trial. Representing himself, because of course, that's what all classic narcissists do in the end, Pierre asked the court for a new trial, which was quickly denied. At the sentencing, Pierre said that Dr. Hahn was a good person and that he did not kill him and his family. It was all just a wild conspiracy because he created an energy source the world did not want out. Tell that to your boys in prison, Pierre. Okay? That's it for this week. Be safe. Be aware. Head over to patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps and sign up for my free content page. That's patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps. patreon.com/MWilliamPhelps. Sources for this episode include Suspect in Murder of California Family asked online psychic, Will I Get Caught for What I Did? By Natalie Morales, CBS News, November 9th, 2025. Inside the Hahn Family Murders, the Investigation and the Legacy of Dr. Henry Hahn by Lena Garcia, Santa Barbara Independent, March 30th, 2016. Also, case reports and warrants. Crossing the Line is executive produced by M. William Phelps, LLC, and Matthew Valentinus, Mom's Basement Management. Written by me, M. William Phelps. Audio mastering and mixing by Matt Russell. Music by Epidemic Sound. Original music written and performed by Thomas Mooney, Tom Phelps, and Matt Russell.